So I recently just caught up with the first episode of John Cena's Peacemaker.
Ah,
It was one of the ones my wife wanted to check it out too because we both kind of liked Suicide Squad. It was entertaining, and I gotta say she's already done after one episode, and I'm not far behind her. Um, I don't know if I'm just not hardcore James Gunn's clientele or audience enough, but it's it's difficult to watch.
you're not wrong.
It's just it's too far. Like it's too far, it's too much. And in some ways, I almost feel like the constraints that he has with Disney make him a better storyteller and a better writer because he can't just rely on shock value.
Hmm, hmm.
And that whole kind of comedic shock value works for some people and doesn't for, I would probably say, a larger amount of people than it does work for. And I'm not a big fan of it. Um, I've seen some clips and things. I think you've even showed me one that look interesting, and some mild spoilers that I've gotten from other friends who posted stuff that seem to indicate that there's some real acting chops that Cena has and shows throughout the series, which I would certainly, good actors watching good actors, a good actor. But yeah, man, just the crassness and the rawness and I gotta take a shower when I'm done sometimes. It's just it's off.
Yeah, everything you're saying is right, and I will say this: James Gunn can work within the confines of a, more of a Disney
Hmm.
uh, parameter. I would say I call it Twitter logic. If you're forced to say it within a certain amount of characters, you can
Hmm.
be concise,
Yeah.
specific,
Yeah. Yeah.
and engaging. He has free reign,
Right.
so he does what he wants to, and I think even with Guardians of the Galaxy, he kind of recaptured that reckless, wild guy behind the
Hmm.
camera that Favreau did with Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I've said this a dozen times. Nobody cared about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nope.
Nobody had a preconceived notion of what they should be. So he could, define them as he went along. And
Hmm.
when he saw somebody had a comedic vent to them, lean into that. If
Yeah.
somebody had sort of a
Yeah.
dramatic edge, he would lean into that. So I will say this: you're 100% not wrong.
Hmm.
Peacemaker is crass and absurd and chaotic and
Hmm.
saturated.
The absurdity, I don't mind. I like
Right.
that. What was it? Though, you want to talk about absurd? Talk about the other one on HBO Max, Doom Patrol. That
Oh, yeah.
is absurd beyond recognition of reality, but it's not as crass.
Very true.
So
And
absurd
that's
is good.
I
It
would
can
say
be.
this is Gunn is very, very crass, very vulgar.
Hmm.
And it can be said that is he being vulgar for vulgar sake, or is that just his is is he the Quentin Tarantino of dialogue where that's just his
Mm.
punctuation? I would say that a lot of his jokes would not land if they didn't have the over the top vulgar twist to it because it, it's it's not. I wouldn't say that it's uh, part of the dialogue per se as much as it's part of the joke. Having
Mm.
somebody respond in an over the top vulgarity
Hmm.
is the joke. It's an absurd use of vulgarity.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
type of humor. It's a type of shock value. It's certainly a tool that you can pull out when you're in a place where you have that level of freedom.
Yes.
I just am of the opinion, call me old, call me prude, call me whatever you want to call me. I really don't care. I don't see it. But I think it becomes a better story when you're forced to, not rely on easy go-tos like that.
Uh, and again,
Yeah.
no disagreement here. I think you're you're right in regards to his style
Mm.
is an acquired taste to be kind, over the top to be a little more accurate. Uh, I would say two things that I'll give to him. The first thing that I already spoke to is that he can take almost any character
Mm-hmm.
and make it interesting. The level of I guess the way that he portrays them, that's up to you. But they're at least interesting.
Totally.
You know, that
Totally.
you know that subjectively you can enjoy it, but objectively these are interesting characters that you're like, oh, I
Yes.
never. Yeah,
They may be crass, but they all had depth that you could see in the first episode. No question.
No question. And I will say this is that, as with Suicide Squad, the second one, not
his Suicide Squad.
His Suicide Squad. He has the ability, and I'll give him credit on this, to reach moments of sincerity and tenderness within that madness, if it makes sense. Here's a funny thing. One of the most endearing, well, there's two endearing moments in Suicide Squad that you will see kind of in Peacemaker as well.
Okay.
The first one was when they went to the club, and I forget the name of the town, but they went to a club to blow off some steam.
Yep.
And King Shark was in the van, and he was just looking out the window at people embracing and kissing on the street.
Yeah.
And again, this is a shark, no features, but you just saw like big, dark, solemn eyes, and you're just like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even
how did you feel for that character in that moment?
Yes,
totally.
And when he was, when he met the little fish in the aquarium, new dumb friends, and you're just like, he's lonely.
Yeah.
He's isolated, and you feel for that amongst a big starfish and dead sport, blood sport, and a Peacemaker having a kill off in a village, and it turns out they killed all the wrong people. All of that insanity, and you have these nuggets of wholesome, actual tender moments inside.
Yeah.
And the other time that I felt, I had my emotions, stirred a little bit was, Polka Dot Man. Oddly,
well, he as an actor is just such a phenomenal character actor. Whether he shows up in The Flash or Dune or Suicide Squad or whatever he's doing, like, he has been on just a kick where he's been in everything, and he's made a mark in everything he's been in.
And I don't know if this is fact, but it feels right. I think he's played the most characters in comic book properties so far. I mean, he was in The Dark Knight. He was the Joker's henchman in Dark Knight.
Right.
Obviously, Suicide Squad. He was also in Ant-Man, so he's in the MCU as well.
He's been in the Flash TV series, so he's been in the Arrowverse.
Exactly, the Flash, yeah. So that's 4 different characters within the comic property. It just feels like he's the go-to guy. But anyway, if you ever do make it all the way through, we should do it.
I'm going to do a few more, I think, just because, I've got some time to kill in my hands while I'm training and running. So,
well, I'll tell you this: there's a moment in episode 4.
4, okay, and there's only 8 in total, right?
I believe so.
Okay,
and let me put it this way: Vigilante again steals the show,
and I haven't even seen the character introduced yet. So, all right, I'll give it till 4.
Thank you, and again, I want your thoughts on it, because don't get me wrong, again, super vulgarity, but it's also that layer of empathetic character that you see in this madness. Again, these are all killers and assassins.
Oh, yeah.
We need to talk later at a time designated for that specific show. But hey, in the meantime, welcome. Everybody. We are just running off talking about some other topics, but wait right there, because we're going to start the show, and we will be right back. Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. My name is Julian, and with me we have Logan, and we are holding down the fort. Just the two of
Just
us.
the two of us.
Just the two of us. We're like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but not the ending that you're expecting. So,
I hope not.
Hey, and right off the bat, we have a person who's commenting, Big E. Big E, thank you for jumping in. And, you're right. You're right, Big E.
Which one of us?
Yes. Well, no, not us. I think.
No, he's talking about. I know.
Yeah. And what's that actor's name? I forgot it. Oh, geez. Well, he's a great actor, and we all appreciate it. And yes, Biggie, one of John Cena's best roles. Is that saying a lot? Because he was in the Marine one. I remember that. And then he played a drug dealer in the that comedy with Amy Poehler and
Well, I mean, I saw another friend of mine who said it on the polka dot guy. It does have a creepy look. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it is saying a lot for him. I mean, it's with the exception of Dwayne Johnson, and I suppose to some extent, what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Batista?
Yeah, Dave Batista. A lot of times wrestlers or athletes or people who've kind of turned actor like that get kind of pigeonholed real quick and or are pigeonholed because they can't do more than that. And I mean, I think it is certainly saying that he already has a best role, because if not, you could just say, well, he's been in some movies. So there's that kind of I don't want to say backhanded compliment, but the fact that he has a best role means that there's stuff good there, as opposed to just that somebody needed, a big character, or needed a brute, or needed a face, or needed something.
And I will say this is that, I was never a fan of John Cena. To me, and this is totally inappropriate in a certain extent, I did not appreciate his physicality. Because his dimensions look so absurd.
Yep.
I didn't see how he could play a role. Because he's not The Rock big, because The Rock is just big biceps, big lats, big pecs.
Yeah.
Cena has like big wrists. He almost looks like a human Hulk. There's like no proportion. He's just large. And again, I'm not saying that I'm an Adonis. Go to my OnlyFans for that. But either way, I just could not see him pulling off a serious role. And this one's still over the top. Don't get me wrong, way over the top. But he has moments of actual acting.
Oh yeah.
And you'll appreciate this. There's moments where he does not talk and he does a look, and it's acting. It's not just stare off into.
I mean, that's great. I hope he got a coach. I hope he went to classes. I hope he tried. I hope he knew his stuff and went prepared. And that's the kind of thing that you want to see anybody on screen try and do. And some people have it naturally, and some people phone it in. And that's fantastic. That's great.
I would say, and again, not based off of any long track record, but I would say that one of the things I saw that The Rock spoke to often was, you can't be a wrestler and not have a good work ethic, or a professional wrestler and not have a good work ethic. So if you do apply, and The Rock said the same thing. He said, I went to acting school because I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And his background was in football. And then he said, he did professional wrestling. And he said, when I wanted to go into acting, I knew the process. You have to learn. And it's not like you just show up and things are going to work out. And Cena, and I've seen him in interviews, said the exact same thing. He went to acting class and learned. The same for not a wrestler, but a similar guy who's not initially, he didn't start out to be an actor. Was who's the guy that's that was going to play Gambit?
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum, yeah. He was, I think he used to be a male dancer. Well, of course, he's a male dancer. Well, he's an erotic dancer. Yes, I would say.
So Magic Mike wasn't far off the bill, huh?
No, no, he said it was semi-autobiographical.
There you go.
Semi.
Yeah.
But he said that he wanted to become an actor, so
Yeah,
he
yeah.
learned. And so I give them props on that. And
Absolutely.
if you think about it, I mean, the way those
Mhm.
wrestlers go on those circuits,
Sure.
it's not Shakespeare, but
No.
it is a rehearsed, physical portrayal of a story. And
Yeah.
the physicality means you have to know your marks,
Mhm.
be able to deliver, even though
Mhm.
it's exaggerated. You
I
have
can
to deliver.
appreciate, and I think that's the only thing, to be honest, I can appreciate in wrestling is that the theatrics and the
Mm.
staging and the, you know, real effort and talent that it takes to make it look as real or as, completely as unscripted as possible. That takes a lot. And I can certainly appreciate that if that's the only thing, and I think it is, that I appreciate about wrestling.
And likewise, I think just the the storylines are again ridiculous, but
Because look, I mean, Michael B. Jordan,
yes,
fabulous actor.
yes.
Has he done a comedy?
No, no.
Has he done a
Not that I
romantic
can recall.
movie?
A romantic, not a romantic comedy. No, no, I haven't seen him. But to be
No.
fair, it's hard for A-list black men to get,
Denzel had
romantic.
his fair share.
Did he?
Perhaps not as many as he could have.
Well, let's define romance. And I like this because I
I'm
could be
thinking
wrong.
of more of a comedy rom-com kind of, something where you actually show tenderness and personality. I think of
Wow.
Michael B. Jordan and I think of a great actor, fabulous
Yeah.
actor, incredible range, incredible depth,
I,
but does not have or has not at least yet done the comedy, hasn't done the romantic love story, has not done the, kind of full range of genres that actors do.
you're right. But for some reason, I can see him doing it. Not,
I
not.
would love to see him do I want to
Yeah.
see him do it. He's
I,
fantastic and everything else. I think he would kill it.
I,
I would
I,
love to see him in a Shakespeare. Oh, could you imagine him in a Shakespeare
I could.
or something
Oh,
on stage? Like,
now you didn't see the
no,
tragedy of
and I
yeah,
want to. It's
the
on my
tragedy of
list.
Macbeth.
Yes,
So good.
on my list.
So good. Three things.
Yep,
I mean, Denzel's Denzel.
of course.
I was a little
Well, that's
concerned.
A24 again, isn't it?
It is A24.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like just keep track of everything they're doing and go watch all of that. Because
Oh,
seriously,
we're gonna get to that, Logan. There will be a
we should
like a
have an A24 episode because they've got some coming out. Oh man, the one with what is I'll come up with the name, but we'll add it to the list and we'll do a whole A24 episode because they've got some stuff.
they've got tons of stuff. And we got to do a ranking. We'll
Hmm.
probably do something on social, like a nice little ranking graphic of them ranked, based on scores,
Hmm.
least to
Well, we
best.
should put out a poll and let the viewers pick their favorites, and then we'll add their top 2 or 3 into our list and talk about
Good.
those.
Absolutely. We can do, open that up and
Yep.
um, let's see. Oh, you are not kidding, Eric. You
Green
do.
Knight.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, and I'm not trying to take too much away from A24,
Hmm.
but their trailers are becoming really formulaic at this point. Um, Beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I've never seen a bad A24 trailer.
Hmm.
I don't know if you'd really like Green Knight, Eric. I will say this it is a journey movie, a quest movie, and a lot of metaphor
Hmm.
and not a lot of actual acting. Beautiful cinematography, amazing score, but there's no there. My opinion.
Hmm.
I always like to have an open discussion, get everybody's thoughts. I did not especially like it. I was so looking forward to it. Trailer blew me away. Went there and
Yeah.
I'm watching it, and I'm just like, when is something going to happen? But I'll tell you what, Denzel Washington and the Tragedy of Macbeth, amazing film for three things. like again, Francis and Denzel act their behinds off. It's beautiful acting.
Mhm.
The dialogue, obviously, they stick to the Shakespearean. Uh, the way they shoot, first of all, the ratio, they do like the square ratio, so you have like this
Oh,
claustrophobic
okay.
feel.
Mhm.
Yeah, they shoot it in square 1-to-1 ratio,
Mhm.
and black and white.
Yep, I've
Sharp,
seen, yeah.
yeah, really sharp f-stop, short f-stop. So you're looking at these super high resolution close-ups of people, and like their ears are out of focus. Like
Mhm.
really, everything feels claustrophobic. It's almost like they're going for that um, telltale heart type of
Okay.
just feeling a lot of intensity.
Mhm.
And it's shot like a play.
Yeah, awesome.
No locations. It's all kind of like every location is like a stage, but just a really well produced stage.
Mhm.
And the score is great.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely, I gotta check that one out sooner rather than later.
I think you'll dig it. I think
Yep.
you'll dig it.
And,
Um,
Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was the one that I am really looking forward to.
that's with what's her
Michelle
name?
Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh, and it's
Michelle
like
Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis.
that's right. That's right. Is this another multiverse?
Maybe? It's hard to tell from the trailer, but something's up.
Is the multiverse, is that the new thing? Is that it? Is that it? Is this like the new
Well, I think it's not the new thing. I think that everybody has, DC's had a multiverse, Marvel's had a multiverse, stories have had multiverses for decades. But I think that the portrayal of it on screen and the fact that the audiences get it and can follow it have kind of opened those floodgates to being like, oh, the audience can get this, so now we can tell these stories.
kind of like when Quentin Tarantino introduced the multiple storylines intersecting out of chronological order.
Yep. And then every movie all of a sudden was never in chronological order
And
for a little while.
same
Yeah.
with Christopher Nolan.
Yep. And then Marvel does a whole connected movie universe, and everybody wants to do connected movie universes. Like, it's one of those things that I think it showed that the audience was either ready for it or able to kind of take and digest it. So it now lets everybody add that tool or overused trope to their belt, depending on how it's done.
Very true. Very true. Now, watch me stick the landing on this.
Hmm.
Speaking of multiverses,
Nice.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of
Yes.
Madness has a
Oh,
new,
that trailer.
the trailer, the poster. I'm losing my mind.
Hmm.
This, because it's been established you can do pretty much anything you want now.
Anything with any character from any movie, anywhere.
Exactly.
You just need enough time and money.
Exactly. And
Mostly money.
you Disney money. That's what you
Disney
need,
money. Come
Um,
on, Disney money.
Now, here's the thing. When first of all, the trailer looked phenomenal, and
Oh.
and there were so many things in there. And
Mhm.
of course, spoiler alert: if you don't want to know what's coming, even though it's in the trailer and the internet's already talked about it,
Mhm.
I'll give you 3 seconds to go
La
mute.
la la la.
Yeah, go mute if you don't want to hear this, because I'm going to talk about some things we saw in the trailer that perhaps could be in the film. Sometimes there are misdirects.
Mhm.
Sometimes we misread something, but this is my interpretation. I want your thoughts on it, Logan.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, when Doctor Strange is being arrested
Mm.
and he's being walked into what's obviously
Well,
the Illuminati.
we'll stop even right there.
Oh,
He's
yes.
being arrested, but
By
it doesn't look like he's being arrested by the same Baron Mordo that we met in the first Doctor Strange. I'm already wondering if it's a multiversal Mordo that's actually arresting him.
maybe. Well, no, because he still did say that, you wizards are destroying the world.
Right. Well, he said you went too far and you have to be stopped. But if you
Yeah,
remember, his crusade at the end was to get rid of all magic, not to just
true.
take out Strange.
That
So
is true.
I
Yeah.
wonder if it's already we're dealing with multiple Mordos that we may not be aware of.
Multiple Mordos. Yes. I,
Anyway,
now, do you think this whole thing happened because of Spider-Man No Way From Home, or was it something else that he had done? Because obviously Wong
I
had
mean,
said you
look,
can't fix everything, and I didn't know if that was a reference to Spider-Man No Way
trying
Home.
to put that genie back in the bottle or back in the box or whatever, but I don't know. I'm confused only because, as far as I'm concerned, Loki's the cause of the multiverse right now.
Right.
So I'm not sure, and I'm hoping this will help answer that because Wanda and Scarlet Witch is in it, and there are
Yeah.
some other kind of overlapping characters of sorts. And if it is in the multiverse, there's no saying Loki can't show up either.
Oh,
Just saying. Um, I don't know that Strange is necessarily directly responsible or if he just helped accelerate it or whatever, but as far as I understand, I blame Loki.
interesting. No, that's interesting because, well, first of all, they have, of course, confirmed that there is going to be a Loki season 2.
Right.
That has been established. So,
But then the other thing that we don't necessarily know with the way Marvel's running these is, does that mean he will or will not cross into movies anymore? If Wanda's had her own series and she's in a movie, well, then he can be in a movie and then deal with repercussions from his actions or events in a movie in season 2.
yeah.
So I'm still blaming Loki for everything. I do think Strange,
Well,
if anything, nobody knows what Loki did. Nobody knows what happened with that.
right.
So everybody may be blaming Strange right now because they know and saw what he did in Spider-Man. So I think he's a valid scapegoat, but ultimately I don't see how you can't come down eventually to, damn it, it was Loki again.
That's a good point. I mean, obviously they think he did something.
Right. And he did in Spider-Man. There's no question.
Sure.
But arguably, he couldn't have done that in Spider-Man if Loki didn't already break the multiverse.
Yeah, well, because it would have been predicted, right? It would have.
Well, there was only one universe until then.
Right.
So even if he was trying to do anything, nobody else would have been called from anywhere else because nobody else existed.
It would
So
have
if
been
Loki
prone.
didn't break the universe into the multiverse first, Strange's spell wouldn't have had the effects that it had.
Good point. It looks intriguing. I
It
I
does.
want to.
It does. Oh, it does.
And again, we could guess till the cows come home.
Yep.
Not that we have a farm or anything like
But
that.
anyway, then
Yeah.
there's the Illuminati. But on the way to the Illuminati, those looked like Ultron sentries that were walking him up.
They
You catch that?
were.
Yeah.
They were. They absolutely
Yeah.
were. Ultron robots. And again, I'm not as familiar with the canon, but the internet has been establishing or at least confirming that those
Yeah.
were Ultron robots.
Yeah.
And there's supposedly I think it's called Superior Iron Man,
Ooh, okay.
which is a different, an alternate universe Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
So now here's the thing. They're saying that could open the door for Robert Downey to come back. But they're also saying, because nothing means anything,
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Yes. Tom Cruise.
And I know Tom Cruise wants to be in a franchise so bad. It's he's begging for that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's capable of taking a off role unless it was something like, at least, I'm sure he has it in his contracts that he has to be like, at least 1/3 the bill or something like that. He can't. I don't think he'll just sit in the Illuminati chair and just
Mm-hmm.
kind of just be there. I think he'd have to be doing a lot of heavy lifting for him to sign up for that. So
I would tend to agree.
yeah. But speaking of the Illuminati, and there's some photos that people have been analyzing, and as in Blade
Just
Runner,
listen.
zoom in, enhance, zoom in, enhance, and
Yeah.
and of course, yes, obviously, you hear Patrick Stewart,
Oh,
and you see the
never
back of his
mistake
bald
that
head.
voice.
And you see the back of his bald head. So
Well, there's that too.
yeah, and there was art renderings of the movie, but they came out a while ago, and it had Patrick Stewart. Here's what's crazy. They had Patrick Stewart in his X-Men cartoon hover wheelchair.
The yellow one?
The yellow one.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's awesome.
And in the artist, rendering, when they were saying he was going to be in it, he was in that. Now, if that is the case, now obviously just him being there means that you can have Hugh Jackman and everybody.
Oh, yeah. And he's actually in IMDb. Patrick Stewart is listed in IMDb right now.
Yeah. Well, he has. I mean, come on. Yeah. Now, is anybody else though?
No.
Like the X-Men?
No, none of the other X-Men.
Well, we'll see. Give it time. I'm just saying, having just Patrick Stewart there.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not like an end credit. If it was an end credit Illuminati, that would be insane. But if he's going to be like in the very beginning or part of the overall thing, you better bring out some of the X-Men. And I even heard that they were talking about Deadpool, possibly being in there.
Well, that's the thing with the multiverse is now you're saying anyone from any property that I want is just universe XYZ.
Here's one other thing that I heard, and I think it's also, you can barely see it in the poster. The poster has fragments of glass, so you have dozens of images in there.
Right.
And they're saying this also in the trailer. In the trailer, if you look for a moment, you can see Doctor Strange half animated, half photorealistic. Now, is it possible that, of course, and they definitely have Captain Carter's shield.
Totally.
So she is in it. But if they're going to be going in, obviously they're doing some depictions of the What If series.
Yep.
You'll bring that in here. But could it be, and again, big could it be that they have a animated reality and it was the 80s animated series of X-Men? I don't know if it would really take away from the gravity of it, because there looks like there's some heavy stuff going on.
I don't think you could put an animated character in line with everything else in that sort of an Illuminati setting and have it believable. I think you could have an animated multiverse, and I agree completely. I think that's probably one of the next kind of crossovers of sorts that somebody needs to try and figure out. Like, I would love, for example, Star Trek Lower Decks right now, the kind of more adult humor based one, to beam down to a planet, and when they beam down into their real form, real bodies. And it becomes a live action away mission. And they actually have to deal with like bleeding and getting hurt and not dealing with all of the comic imperviousness that they have. And I think that could be ridiculous and awesome and incredible and envelope pushing. But, they do it here first. Great if they do it here first. So could there be a universe of that? Sure.
Yeah.
But if anything, I think they hop through it and just kind of tease it. I don't think they could pull a character out and all of a sudden just stick him in somewhere, even Patrick Stewart.
So no Roger Rabbit moment.
No. And I think that's exactly right. And that's the only one that's really kind of done and gotten it.
Yeah. It would probably look more like Cool World, which is.
It might. It might.
These are deep cuts, folks. So,
very deep.
Keep up. But yeah, so obviously looking forward to it. Really want to see it. It's because you have this literal universe of cinema and the streaming, and you have so many properties that have just now come to Disney since they've acquired the Fox. Disney acquired Fox, right? Yeah.
Disney acquired
or
Fox.
20th Century, and they dumped the Fox, right?
Well, yeah.
Well,
they acquired their library.
Yes, exactly. So there's so many potential things that could happen. It is mind-blowing. So I'm so looking forward to it.
Yep.
So looking forward to it.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing, I don't know if you were going to get to more in the trailer, but America Chavez. Did you catch her?
No. And forgive me, who is America Chavez?
So America Chavez is I think she was more of a young Avengers or West Coast Avengers, depending on which version of the comics run you're talking about.
Oh,
But she
okay.
was kind of raised, I guess, as a multiversal superhero, kind of raised out of time, and has a number of places where she kind of crosses overs with West Coast Avengers, Young Avengers, I think even Ultimates for a while. Has strength and speed and flight and invulnerability and interdimensional travel. So I think part of the introduction of this whole multiversal world is going to be kind of bringing her and having her introduction slash origin story of a sorts into this one, and then maybe leaning more towards a either West Coast or Young Avengers. When you're talking about, you've got her, you're going to have Agatha, who was kind of the older mentor for those groups. Theoretically, Scarlet Witch's children, I think, Wiccan and Speed, I forget.
Well, I
Maybe.
remember she was trying to bring them back in the end of the
Right.
in this streaming
And I
service.
know, yeah, Wiccan and America Chavez have a whole series or a thing kind of with her and Loki and stuff. So depending on what comic lanes they're pulling from, there's all sorts of storylines and opportunities that she and her powers could cross over into.
Let me ask you this, and maybe I missed it. America Chavez, that's the name of the character, right?
It's the name of the character.
Now, the only reason I'm asking that is because I thought I saw Miss Marvel.
No,
that's not Miss Marvel.
You're I think the one you're seeing Miss Marvel as. So here's the cheat code for trailers.
Yes.
Turn on captions.
Oh, that is.
You've heard it here first, people.
That is.
Turn on
good.
captions.
Oh, so when she made a noise, it said
when
her
she
name.
came up, it's yes, America Chavez. When the voice speaks, it's literally Professor Xavier. Like it actually names some of the other characters and things that you see in the trailer.
Okay, I'm looking at her now. Yes. But you saw why I thought it was
100%
Miss Marvel.
Totally.
But yeah, see, I didn't even know America Chavez.
No, and the reason I didn't think it was Miss Marvel though was because they already cast her because she already has a Disney Plus series coming out, and that wasn't the same person.
Okay, see,
she's on list for getting her own show coming up.
Awesome.
Yes,
no. I love it.
Yeah, so lots of fun stuff in that trailer. Watch it with the subtitles on in case you're looking for a little bit more in the way of details and stuff. And it's going to be an experience.
And Eric is confirming because she's wearing denim, and Miss Marvel would never be caught dead in denim. So good call out on that, Eric. All right, well,
cool stuff coming.
A lot of, and we're gonna be checking in on this as it reveals itself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So you're talking about the lower decks. I really like that, and you know what, I think that we'll be talking about something very similar to that.
I think we will soon.
Could it be? Oh yes, we do have a Star Wars 4 coming out. Star Trek 4. Forgive me. Listen.
Internet, you have permission to
yes. Don't berate me for, because I know you. The internet hates anything about Star Wars that you talk about. Star Trek, I think you can get away with because it's more inclusive and evolved, much more smarter people. Yes, a higher fare, if you will. But yes, we have an announcement that Star Trek 4 is coming out. See, isn't that awesome?
It is aiming to start production end of 2022 because they don't currently have contracts with any of the cast, I don't think. And I imagine they still have to figure out how to deal with the loss of Chekhov.
Yeah, Antoine.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so
that's going to be hard to kind of figure out. Just way way too soon for that. But yeah, I guess they announced it at the investor day or whatever, and kind of caught some people by surprise, which was in a good way.
What
I
do you
wasn't thrilled with the cast to start, but man, if they all didn't grow into those characters just perfectly.
Well, Chris Pine, I honestly I see Chris Pine being a great Kirk,
Yep.
on, especially at the end of the first one, where he slips in a little nod to
Hmm.
um, the talking affect of William Shatner, and he goes bones. It's it's priceless, and of course,
Yeah.
Aurora, and let's not forget Carl Urban just
No.
killing it
Yeah.
as Bones,
Yep.
killing it. And again,
And
this
Simon
guy,
Pegg. I mean, you could just list the cast, and they all were fantastic, and they all embodied the spirits and the core aspects of the characters, while also adding nuance of their own. I mean, that's how you reboot a cast.
exactly, and I also
Incredible.
appreciated um, well, all of these actors that were starting off relatively new, not unknown, but new, really took it off. I mean, let's not forget Zachary Quinto as
Yes.
Spock, and Zoe Saldana, my
Hmm.
my movie wife, uh, Anton Yelchin. That's
Yelton. There you go.
yeah, but also John Cho, as
Sure.
Sulu. He was good. I thought it was a little clumsy how they introduced his, sexual identity, but I understood what they're going for. It
Yep.
just seemed like it was written by a heterosexual guy.
It does. It did a bit.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure that they tried. I suppose they get points for that, but you know,
Points, yes. Not a lot of points, but
not a
points,
lot, but
yes.
more than zero.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and you're gonna laugh at this. I honestly forgot there was a third one.
Now, see, the third one I think did something the first two couldn't do well, and that was introduce a new, I don't want to say main, but character that was front and center, and actually you were glad to kind of get to know.
Idris Elba?
No, Jayala.
Oh, Sophia Umbutella.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
I
Her
and
character really kind of grew on the cast and grew in personality, and I think was actually a benefit to the movie itself. Whereas they wasted Idris Elba completely under
yeah,
so many layers of prosthesis.
but I
They
told you about that.
completely, I know you did, and you weren't wrong at all.
They put a
You
butt
were
on his
dead
head.
on.
They
Yeah,
always put a butt on your head. What is that?
you were dead on. I mean, they royally botched Benedict Cumberbatch in two, and the whole con
Yes,
garbage.
yes.
And Eric Bana's okay, but Nero was forgettable.
Well, also because I feel bad
It was
because
an episode plot line. It wasn't a movie plot line.
exactly,
It wasn't big
exactly.
enough to be that. So now it did set up interesting things in the universe afterwards, and the fact that they directly pulled on what happened with Picard. So the fact that it did have echoing repercussions throughout even the Star Trek Prime universe was kind of
Mhm.
interesting in the way they connected it all together and just went with it. But for a villain and plot of a movie, it was it was an overgrown episode.
It was, and that's my only concern is that I think that they're not on steady footing
Hmm.
coming into this fourth one, and
Agreed.
the fact that I was not even couldn't I didn't even process that it was the fourth one. I find disturbing because I'm usually pretty good on these franchises, and the fact that I hate to say it, and maybe you got more out of it, and maybe I'll try and check it out
Mm,
again. But I completely forgot the Idris Elba one.
yeah.
Completely forgot about it until I started looking it up. I said, "Oh yeah, there was a third." And
Well, I
and
mean,
and
and you're totally right, because Idris Elba's like the villain and the character in the story was again a little sketchy at best.
yeah,
There was the Stella aspect that I certainly did like, and kind of just seeing the characters so gelled and so or actors so in their character, which
Mhm.
was a pleasure to watch on the screen. But then there was some of the fan service to the Enterprise TV show where they kind of pull out the same model ship kind of at the end. And it just didn't seem like it was a thing to stand on its own. And you can't have that in a theatrical film.
I
So they need something big. They need a story of consequence and of meaning. Um, and to be honest, I think it needs to not have an end. Like it needs to be so big that it can't be told in one film, and that it needs to kind of create that desire and create that want and tell a story on a theatrical level, not an episodic level, to really nail down and make it home and tell a story that kind of only Star Trek can tell.
I agree. Do they need a Kevin Feige? Do they need some, conductor to keep this train on the tracks?
Well, they've got two things. They do. I think they're still trying to force J.J. Abrams as it. I'm not trying to use this to talk bad or down about him in any way. He's done lots of amazing things, but theatrically speaking, it is falling a little flat. I think they've done a lot better in the TV shows. They've got a good Arrowverse, so to speak, but they're missing the you're absolutely the movie verse. But let's be serious too. So far, there's only been one Kevin Feige.
Very true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone else who even comes close to doing that with any other franchise at the moment. So, let alone that many movies in that short a time and series, like it's he is one of a kind so far.
You're right. No, you're right. It's
We're almost getting to the point where I think it's a valid question of, can there be another Kevin Feige? Like, is this a generational kind of a person as opposed to a, per studio kind of person?
I think you need two things. I think you need the brain that can have all these different, if for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
multiverses, universes heading in the same direction, and keep it all in some sort of a cohesive story. And you also need a studio to get out of his way and say, "We trust in your vision. Do it."
Mhm.
Because I don't see that carte blanche being given to any other studio other than Marvel. And again, I think Marvel was a lightning in a bottle
Yep.
because, again, Iron Man, not Superman. No,
No.
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
And again, I knew who Iron Man was, had never touched an Iron Man comic, did not care anything about Iron Man. But again, that goes to my, my observation that if nobody's expecting anything, you can't help but succeed.
Yeah.
Because nobody was going to get in his way and said, "Well, the Iron Man that I know is an alcoholic and a womanizer."
Yeah.
And the Iron Man that I know, he's more of a philanthropist. Nobody had any opinion, so he was like, just and to that point, I would say, and oddly enough, they are in the MCU. The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So and again, nobody cared. Nobody cared. So
No,
and
none of
you
the
can't,
characters.
and you can't stumble into that many hits. And again, I'm transferring from Foggy to James Gunn.
Yep.
You can't take on properties like Peacemaker, which is subjectively good or bad, but objectively it is a hit. The numbers are coming, and it's getting
And it's already got a season 2, so
Yeah.
it clearly made a boom.
It did its job, and again, making Guardians of the Galaxy probably one of the greatest ensembles in comic book history. I mean, not the Super Friends or Justice League, as the kids call it. Back my generation, it was the Super Friends. Speaking of which, Speaking of which, they are talking about doing a Zan and Jaina
I saw
series.
that. That would be awesome.
It's got to
And
be
look,
comedy.
I would love for, especially with the impending implosion of the CW and whatever they're going to get sold out and chopped up and whatever into, you know, Greg Berlanti and he's the closest thing I can think of at the moment to another Kevin Feige, but on the small screen TV episodic level. Like you can't argue what he did with the Arrowverse is unparalleled only in comparison to what Feige's done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And I do know it had a huge splash and a huge following. I missed that train, but
Yeah, and
but I can, but I can appreciate its success. No
yes,
doubt.
absolutely. And I think HBO Max is a good place to start to kind of move and roll that over to, because they can start to tell, they can essentially start to do their own multiverse where they can take the best characters and tell our new characters and tell stories that they couldn't tell on regular network, TV, and then bring in the best characters and storylines from some of those other ones, call it a multiverse, and off to the races. Like, HBO Max has a huge library and potentiality, as long as the licensing rights and deals are in line, to do, a very similar thing that Marvel's doing with their shows and kind of more episodic TV related properties that they're doing on Disney Plus.
I do agree. I think these platforms are finding their footing in regards
Mhm.
to programming and how to
Yes.
not just have a library of stuff, but
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
engage and have must-view shows. And whether it's binging or weekly
Yeah.
releases, it's. I mean, I'm watching Peacemaker religiously, and so, obviously when the Disney does their streaming, I mean, that's for better or worse. You got to you're in for you bought the
You're
ticket.
there. Yep.
You got to go.
Yep.
If I can, good sir, make
Sure.
a very smooth, suave-like transition from one franchise to another.
Yes.
Yes. There is another Jurassic
Oh,
addition to the franchise.
that's
This one,
awesome.
but this one has dinosaurs that run amok. See, you didn't see that twist coming.
Didn't see it coming.
No.
No.
Yes. From what I can tell, and the trailer looks beautiful.
Mhm.
And of course, this one brings back the original cast: Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
It is Sam Neill, right?
Yeah.
Sam Neill. Okay.
Emil, yeah.
And but they also have Bryce Dallas Howard, gonna do my little 6 degrees of a separation here,
Mhm.
who did arguably the best episode of Book of Boba Fett,
Yes.
which wasn't really Book of Boba Fett. We all know it was The Mandalorian, but
Season 2.5.
yeah,
And honestly, her episodes of The Mandalorian have been some of the best of The Mandalorian too. Like, she is
yeah,
rocking it.
it's in the genes.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, and I don't want to say nepotism, but you don't just naturally get that good. Somebody
No.
was, well, unless she was just watching her dad for decades, and then
Well, nepotism implies that, the offspring got it because of the parent. And while she certainly had the exposure because of the parent, and she had the experience, and she had the benefit of having the parent who had that level of skill, I wouldn't say it's nepotism. I would just say it's the luck of genetics.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, maybe I don't want to use that in the wrong term. Like she only got the job because she was a Howard.
Yeah.
I'm sure that made people perk up.
Oh, yeah.
But when she delivered, she
does.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time she does.
Absolutely. No. I have nothing but praise for her.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's. I think the last thing. I mean, I saw her in the Jurassic one. I thought that was again fine.
Yeah.
I liked her in the Black Mirror. I don't know. Have you ever
series on Netflix?
Yeah. Did you ever watch that series?
No, I didn't. I have not watched that.
I'll tell you this, and this sums up every episode because it's what I call, it is formulaic, but not in the sense that it repeats itself, but the overall point of each episode is basically man's man's reliability, man's reliant on technology, and technology turns on man. That's every episode.
Mm-hmm.
Every episode.
Yeah.
And from the very first one, it's basically technology is the ruination of society. That's essentially it.
Mm-hmm.
She was in a episode, and it was really interesting. And I don't know, it may be a little too close to home, but well, these are all kind of comments on society. In a nutshell, she lived in this world in which everybody could rate everybody else on their app, on their mobile phone.
I've seen that Orville episode actually.
Yes. So to that point, like
Yeah.
if you're at a supermarket and the person who's bagging your groceries knocks them over and fall, you would give them a 1 star.
Yep. Downvote.
And all that. But the stars were basically a currency in how you were seen in society.
Yep.
You would only
Perception
get-
of social current. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a social currency. So you would not get into the club if you had a low rating.
Yep.
You could not get the job if you had a low rating.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I mean, sometimes it makes me think society in real life would be nice with that. So, we'd be forced to be nice to one another because it doesn't.
Well, but at the same time,
Yeah.
one misinterpreted viral video or misinterpret or smear campaign, and it's good until it's not.
Well, you could do it like Rotten Tomatoes, how they block all the unauthentic reviews unless you've actually seen it, so you can't review bomb. I think that's what the kids are calling it these days.
Yes.
Anyway, it was a great episode. I think you'd like a lot of them. Some of them are a little more brash, and
well, they're significantly episodic though, and that there's no continuity between the episodes though.
Exactly.
So they can pick and choose a little bit. So
it a la carte.
Okay,
there you go. But this being said, there is. If I can, I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis.
Sure.
Okay. Jeez. Well, and again, it's so obvious the plot. I mean, it says this summer experienced the epic conclusion of the Jurassic era as 2 generations unite for the first time. Chris Pine, Bryce Dallas Howard are joined by Oscar winner Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill in Jurassic World Domination, a bold, timely, and breathtaking new adventure that spans the globe, from Jurassic World architect and director Colin Trevorrow. Dominion takes place 4 years after Isla Nebular has been destroyed, and I didn't see the last one.
Yep.
I heard it was sad, and I told you my thing about animals.
Yeah.
No. It could be an island full of people. I'll be chomping on popcorn, but animals, that's I can't really. Even animals that died 1 billion years ago.
Dead animals dying again is too much.
Yeah, you know what? Once is enough.
Hey, fair enough.
Okay, enough. But so essentially dinosaurs now live and hunt alongside humans all over the world. This fragile balance will shape the future and determine a once and for all whether human beings are to remain the apex predators on a planet they now share with history's most fearsome creatures. So basically the whole thing is the Flintstones. That's what it is. Yes,
basically
the Flintstones. So when they go in the kitchen, they have commercials, and they open the cabinet, and you see like a wart dinosaur eating the trash, and then he looks at the camera and he says, "It's a living." That's essentially what's happening now. So, but what do you think? You think have you been following these, Logan?
I've watched them both. Yeah. I remember going to the theater for Jurassic Park when it came out. We had a program at my elementary school, middle school. I don't even know. I'd have to look at the year and then cringe. But whatever year it was, that I think it was an honor roll thing where if you made the honor roll, they had like a little gift book of coupons and free pizza at Pizza Hut. And one of the ones was 4 free tickets to, I think it was a Regal movie or Regal movie theater in town. And we, that was one of the few times we were able to get to the movies, especially as an entire family. is when it was basically free. So we would kind of, do the best that we could and get it, and then we would get to kind of pick the movie that we went to go see. And one of the ones was the first Jurassic Park, and you'll never forget that movie.
No,
To see the T-Rex on screen, to see those effects, like that was transformational in what movies were capable of doing. And no Jurassic Park since then has ever been able to kind of fully capture the magic of the first one, nor should it, because the first one had, well, there was nothing before the first one. You had, old Godzillas or King Kongs or stop motion or, people in bear suits or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I remember that first one, going to see it in theaters, and that's just kind of got me all nostalgic for the rest of them. So whether they were good or not, yes, I've been following and seen them.
So, but now this coming up will be the 6th
The 6th, yes.
Jurassic Park.
Yep.
I'm going to use my
And supposedly conclusion. That was the most interesting part of that I heard and that I read, is that there's a conclusion aspect of this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that, only because I understand they milked it, but I mean, I see series and spin-offs.
Well, they have an animated series on Netflix.
Of course.
My fear is that they do something, I don't want to say stupid, but stupid to some extent, and do some sort of, somebody's biogenetically engineered a dinosaur plague, and they try and stop it from happening, but it gets out anyway and kills all the dinosaurs, and the humans make it by species genocide, and then they end on, one egg in a forest somewhere that was spared and is kind of shaking and cracks and fade to black, like, that kind of conclusion garbage, where it was, basically a ridiculous, wipe the slate clean to try and restart, or, or God, somebody finds the Barbasol container and they go, oh, what's this? And somebody gets it, or someone in a lab somewhere has an egg, or just something, a way to kind of reboot the universe in the last movie, which would just be a money grab.
I think that ship left the station a long time ago. I agree 100%.
I hope it has, but that ship always seems to still be at the station.
Yes, no, I think I think you being a script doctor, you hit the nail on the head. I do believe that there'll be some resolution. And again, I don't want to see dinosaurs die. Yeah, I don't want to see them die.
I don't see how you don't, unless they're making it Planet of the Apes and they're saying humans go.
I'm okay with that. I choose.
It would be a choice.
I'm team dinosaur all the way.
It would be an interesting choice.
Exactly. To quote Ripley from Aliens, you don't see them screwing each other over for a percentage. And I would say that, of course, it's going to end with panning down through the trees. And of course, you see an egg, because literally from the first one, the entire theme has been life always finds a way.
Yep.
So
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Goldblum says it, it's gold. It's not.
Oh, it's canon. There's no question.
Exactly.
So speaking of Rotten Tomatoes,
yes,
I heard you went to go see Uncharted.
Yes.
Now, I didn't get to go see it. I wasn't in a place with, kids, family, life, blah, 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 to go see it. But I did kind of check it out online and some reviews, and the reviews have gotten me worried. So are you going to prove them right, or are you going to tell me it was actually worth it?
Let's talk about Uncharted, shall we?
Let's talk about it.
Yes. I am fresh out of the theater, soles of my feet still sticky with popcorny goodness. And I can tell you that this movie is a bust.
Come on.
I will tell you this. You would get more entertainment out of the Goonies than this. And I'll tell you the funny thing. they both end the exact same way.
You've
I'm sorry.
disappointed me.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
my.
I'm sorry. And here's the sad thing. And I'm not going to give spoilers away, but I will say this: Tom Holland does his best, and he does a great job acting. You actually feel some things, and
Yeah.
he's a lovable character.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg. He does not have range. He's the same guy he is, whether he's in Town or if he's Boogie Nights, whatever. It's Mark Wahlberg. He's not winning any Oscars anytime soon.
Yeah.
And a lot of wonderful locations, mostly green screen, but a lot of wonderful locations. And here's the thing. This drags back the thought that you can't have a good video game movie because this kind of follows that aspect of it. I will say this:
man.
the dialogue and the story and the logic is literally filler in between some action scenes that you don't really care about because it's he's going to make it. You don't care. And I was watching it. And I'm watching because I'm excited. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Tom Holland, fresh off of Spider-Man, loved it, got choked up, great movie, and I'm thinking, babe, this could be something new. And I started watching it, and it went south real fast.
Oh.
I'll tell you this: they introduced Tom Holland's character, Mark Wahlberg's character, and they're on a journey within the first 15 minutes of this movie. There is literally no buildup and no logic why they would go off together and be a team, but it just happens that quickly. And it's crammed together like a very hastily made poo sandwich. I'm editing myself. And I was, and also there's things that have there's some winks and nods to the game because and I'm not giving anything away. The trailer shows where he's hanging on cargo things dangling outside of a transport jet, and that's from the game.
Sure.
So you wait for your timing and you hit jump. So he's jumping from one thing. Very exciting, but that's it. It's a scene. There you have no vested interest in any of these characters, and the reviews are right. It is not good. I wanted to wait to do a full official, but I don't care enough about it to do a deep dive. Let me just say this: I would give this, out of 100%, I would probably give this a 55.
Rotten Tomatoes said 40, so that got me real scared.
The only thing that's the saving grace is Tom Holland. Everything else is it's like a combination of Tomb Raider meets I don't want to say Indiana Jones because that's way off. It's
out of its league.
No, because Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones is so much. The early Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Is so much better than this because you have dialogue and character development, and you understand their history. This is all assumed. You get stuff. It's not well made. It's basically a money grab, and they were able to get Tom Holland into it, and I know he thought it was going to be great. Everything's a one-liner, everything's a cliche, and the violence is like they have non-violent violence, so they have literal death scenes and there's no consequence. Literally, somebody gets their throat slit, and I'm not joking.
Okay.
There's a red marker line across their throat, not just when it happens, when they're laying there post-mortem. There's no arterial spray at all. They just got their throat cut. And they're laying there. You see a half of a drop of blood and just a red line around their neck. It looks like somebody smeared lipstick on their collar.
Oh.
And again, I understand they don't want to scare away the kids market. And don't get me wrong, if you're for the children, for the teenagers, sure, have at it. There's stuff going on. Hey, this is the new TikTok generation. Sure, you're going to see stuff happening. Look at the keys. Look at the keys. Sure, this movie is trash, and it's a shame because Tom Holland came off such a win with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
this I don't know what this is. You know, it's and again, I'm not familiar with the you know the
no, I've never played the game either.
Yeah, but you could tell there were some winks and nods. Like there's a scene where he puts on the shoulder holster.
Sounds like a worthwhile scene.
Oh, I know what it is. It's a cross between Goonies and the Angelina Jolie one,
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And Tomb Raider, I think, is on par with this. Goonies blows this out of the water. Yes.
Okay.
So just watch Goonies again. You'll get more out of it.
All right, we'll do. Maybe I'll show it to my my kids too.
Maybe. But I'd say definitely wait for streaming. Do not.
No, Goonies, not this.
Oh, Goonies. Yeah. No, I think they love Goonies. You know, I mean, Sloth.
Yeah.
And a very young Josh Brolin.
It'd probably scare my 4-year-old, but
yeah. No, trust me, Sloth, he was meant to be scary until he put on the Superman shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. See, DC Universe. There you go.
DC. There you go. See, why can't you get it, DC? Superman is love.
I say give Sloth his own show. You know? But yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. Uncharted,
okay.
Pretty bad.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and
well, speaking of DC, there's got to be some good DC news, right?
You know what? I think there is some good
DC something
news. And I'm thinking if it has something to do with this lovely effing photo, pardon my French. Yes. This is a look.
That is a look.
This is a look at Michael Keaton's OG Batman. And this is from the Batgirl
Batgirl movie. Yeah.
Yeah, the Batgirl movie that's coming out. Is it a movie or a series? Forgive me. Because now
that's a good question. Actually, I think it is a series. It's HBO Max, I think.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Or no, it's an HBO Max movie. So it's both.
That's the thing. Is it's hard. It's being released on stream.
Yeah.
On a streaming platform, but it's not. Yeah, it's not a series. Definitely not a series. Yeah, Michael. It's
got some star power for HBO Max.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing that people don't realize. HBO is one of the OG streaming platforms, for lack of a better term. It was the movie channel.
Yep.
HBO. And I remember when, and again, I'm dating myself here, but I remember when the movie channel was the Star Channel. And then they turned it into Movie Channel. And so they're bringing back Michael Keaton. And also, awesome. I get this conflated because I remember they're bringing out the Ben Affleck Batman for the Flash
movie. Yes.
But yeah, they're bringing OG Michael Keaton, and he's 70 years old. Let's not forget, 70 years old. Oh yeah, think about it. I mean, he was. I'm going to give you some context. He was in Night Shift with Henry Winkler back in the 70s.
Oof.
The late 70s, early 80s. And he had at least been in his mid-20s, late 20s then. So, yeah, no, he's 70 years old, still looking good. Still, yeah. I mean, it was just like, 10 years ago when he was running in his underwear down Times Square in Birdman.
Birdman, that's right, yes.
Yeah. So, no, he's still doing good.
And he did Vulture in Spider-Man.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So
he certainly got it, but...
Yeah, and
okay, no, there's time then. There's time.
What do you think of this? The uniform they have him in.
I think it looks a lot more functional than the Tim Burton costume. A little bit more realistic, kind of appropriate for actual functioning, and a slightly less. And I say this not in a bad way, but slightly less comic-y than the Tim Burton kind of Batman costume.
More tactical.
But there's also, I suppose, question of this is clearly a covertly snapped photo. So whether or not there's any costume enhancements in post to go, or maybe not enhancement, but bringing it more in line with the way his costume did look from those. There's no accounting for special effects, is what I'm trying to say.
Very true.
So,
No,
how
yeah.
that goes could be very interesting. I hope this goes well. I hope he knocks it out of the park, and I hope Batgirl takes off too. But between you and me, I'm still hoping this gives him a theatrical platform for being the Bruce Wayne for a Batman Beyond.
That's exactly. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see him as the older Bruce Wayne,
Yes.
retired, and bringing in what's the new Batman Beyond's character name? Kelly or something like.
No. Damn it, I'm gonna blank.
Yeah,
on it
no,
now.
I forget it, but yeah, he was. That I liked that series.
I love the series.
Yeah,
Love the series.
And I think that would be a perfect in for him to play a retired
Terry McGinnis.
Terry, yes.
Terry McGinnis.
Kelly, Terry, yeah.
Terry, yeah, close.
Yeah, Terry McGinnis. Yeah, and that would be an awesome role. Tim, and I'm already telling you who it's gonna be in my
Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
You got it.
Michael Keaton and done. It's cast. Exactly. That's it.
That's
End
it.
of story.
We don't need it. And I'll tell you what. We can even talk about that episode where you had Joker, his DNA inserted into Dick Grayson.
Yep.
And I say, bring Joaquin in there. I don't care.
Totally.
Yeah. Or you can do. Oh, geez. No, I'm not gonna say Jared Leto. Who was the other Joker that I liked? And disregard. I had a brain fart. My God, I was thinking Heath Ledger for a second. Rest in peace.
You could do an old Jack Nicholson.
Ooh. Really?
Could you imagine seeing Keaton and Nicholson on screen at that age?
Yeah,
I don't. With their old, because I feel like they. I'm pretty sure they had an episode or two like that. Because obviously there's the Joker gang that's in the kind of future Gotham there, but I'm pretty sure they had old Bruce and old Joker go at it, or deal with something, or slap canes at each other, or whatever they did. But I mean, could you imagine putting Nicholson and Keaton on screen together after that?
Oh, it would be iconic. I just have, and this is to completely selfish reasons, I don't know if I want to see. Michael Keaton's held it together. Well, yeah. To be kind. Jack Nicholson, I've seen some photos of him.
I think that's better.
Yeah, I can see that too. I can see that.
Put him in makeup and just let him loose. And I think that would be. Look, I was incredibly surprised, as much as I was looking forward to it, how much I was, I guess I'll say moved, but just in like breathless anticipation of seeing Stallone and Lundgren on screen as their ages as they were in Creed 2. That was palpable. That was, I could taste that from the seat in the audience. Like, that was incredible.
That was,
and I think there's a possibility for a Keaton Nicholson moment in that kind of a vein with a Batman Beyond type thing going on, especially if they do a theatrical run and that's what they're teasing.
I would like that if, and again, this is my own selfish reasons because I don't want to destroy my memories. I would like to see them play the Joker almost like a Apocalypse Now Marlon Brando. I want to see him in the shadows and completely out of his mind. I don't want him doing schemes. I'd rather him be like a Hannibal Lecter, like more psychological than running around with a gun. I don't want to see him doing physical crime, if that makes sense. I'd like to see him maybe in Arkham or something like that. Michael Keaton.
Oh, he has to be in Arkham.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question.
And then Batman comes to him and he's just like, again, in his cell, completely
Right.
deranged.
Look, but no, it's got to be in like the cafeteria or some kind of a more open setting.
Mm,
Because think about, Lundgren and Stallone in the restaurant.
yeah,
And you've got kind of the audience, you've got kind of the scenery, the backup, you know, they're they're feeling it, they're itching it, but they're kind of restrained because they're in a place. Put the same thing. You don't want to put them in private. You want to put them in somewhere where they meet, but that they have to hold themselves back because they
there
just can't go at where they're going.
there's a tension,
Yes.
a tension of Dane. Yeah,
A
no, I
situational tension of danger around them, in addition to the relational tension and danger of these two iconic adversaries meeting for potentially their last time.
yeah, it won't
Like,
be like
oh,
Xavier and Magneto where they're all.
no,
But
no, it won't be that amicable at all.
I want to go back to yeah, not to go off topic, but yeah, the Stallone and long run. I'm so glad you brought that up. That and it does you forget.
Yeah,
And again, I will say this: Creed 2, uh, again, blew my mind. You
yes,
know, the fact that it was a
100%.
sequel and a full departure from the Rocky, but
Yep,
also some of the emotional beats that we discussed before,
yep, yep.
especially with the daughter and Rocky's, you know, talking to Michael B. Jordan
Hmm.
about how are you going to react to this,
Yeah.
and he's, I mean, again, he's Rocky, but he has these insightful things that are just gems.
Hmm.
It almost makes me feel bad that he did all those other Rockies, 5, 6, and 7. I understand.
Five, yes. Six
I
was fantastic, and seven was the first Creed.
I'm trying to think. You're right. Okay. 6, and I know why you
Five
don't.
is the only regrettable one.
I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you like 6?
I loved six.
Uh, let me finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Did you like 6 because of the cinematography and the camera work, or was it the story and because I might have missed it and I might have to watch it again
Hmm.
because I found it so unbelievable. And only because again, I'm OG Rocky.
Sure,
I'm Rocky from 1976
sure.
where he was 35.
Yeah.
So and again, don't get me wrong, George Foreman had his comeback, fighting in his 50s.
Foreman,
Yes. Uh,
Tyson,
y- yeah. Well,
Holyfield.
uh,
I mean, look, and for that reason alone, I was able to suspend disbelief.
I hear you. I hear you.
Um, I will certainly agree with you in that yes, a big part of what I loved was the just absolutely epic cinematography for the last 40 minutes of the movie. That
Right.
was bar none incredible. Um, but showing the story, Stallone takes his time to tell a story, and he tells a great story when he takes his time and does it. And he did that with that Rocky because again, he got to write it and got to do it. And the emotional beats between him and his son and the history and the family, and especially that kind of, I don't want to say argument, but that kind of yelling altercation on the street outside the restaurant where it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and get up and keep going. Like, it's iconic. I mean, it's just it's incredible, and I appreciated the levels of emotion and in universe character development and familial development that kind of happened through that. Um, I also appreciated the kind of step by step loss and living and exploration of Rocky Balboa's life and how he's, that one was kind of dealing with having lost his wife and she wasn't there, and seeing him go to the grave, and how does a man carry on after that sort of a thing when, she was arguably the only love he ever had. It's the only one we saw on screen.
Well,
you know, and that kind of a being able to follow this character and almost feeling like he's part of a family. He's a somebody that you know so personally. Um, it was more than just those last 40 minutes.
and I hear you. I need to watch it again. Only because again, I love the character Rocky.
Yes, so
Um,
much.
I love him in the same way that kids these days love Goku.
Oh,
Uh,
Goku.
because if you think
You
about it,
know, there's a big similarity between the two.
you see,
They are both that lovable, driven, almost dumb, but you'd never call them dumb because they're so pure of heart and caring and focused in their drive and care for those around them. And just you wouldn't want anybody else in your corner but Rocky and Goku. You're totally right on.
single-minded.
Yes.
And again,
Yes.
uh, when you talked about him losing Adrian, and
Mm,
and because they did a time jump and you didn't see that happening,
yeah.
and I can relate to how it hit me when in Creed
Hmm.
when he had cancer
Yes.
and he says he just didn't want to fight it, and he's like, bring it on, all my friends are gone. And the way
Yeah.
he said it, again, this still gets me a little choked up when
Hmm.
he's saying it, because he's like, my friends are back there,
Yeah.
in the past. I always said if something was going to come along, I was just going to let it take me. And again, not out of
Yeah. No.
it was just so poetic.
Yep.
And again, he could communicate. And this is why I kind of get upset at some of the definitely Five I got upset about. But Five had some, I'll tell you what, Five had a few things that I
Had moments.
appreciated. It
Had
had,
moments.
and the thing that I don't like is when they set something up that could be something, and then they take it away or they throw it away. Because
Or they lose it, like they didn't realize that was the focus of what you need to hit on.
well, remember, and here's two
Yeah.
things. Here's two things that they touched on and then just ignored.
Yep.
Rocky 2, he couldn't see out of his left eye.
Yeah.
And now, never
Yeah.
mind.
All good.
Now he's
Yeah.
fine. And then also in Rocky 5, which again was a
Yeah.
a mess, but there were scenes where you could see that he was having
The hearing and balance stuff.
hearing
Yeah.
imbalance, and he was like having not post-traumatic stress, but he was off.
Oh yeah.
You could tell
Oh,
that
he was full on flashing back.
yes, yeah, down in the basement when he's
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a
Yep.
scene.
Yep.
Not when he's having a street fight with Tommy Morrison.
No,
Yeah,
that
I
was.
didn't hear no bell. I get it that you need your climactic fight, but the true fight was man against man.
Yeah.
Man against
Man
himself.
himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not man against man. It was man against himself.
Mhm.
And I mean, the best parts in Creed, yes, the fight scenes, Creed 1 and 2, the
Yeah.
fight scenes were phenomenal,
Mhm.
but the quiet moments and the reflective
Sure.
moments are the ones that really give it weight.
Well, I mean, just Creed, just looking at Rocky Balboa's story in the two Creed movies, you go from having the cancer and all my friends are back there to ending Creed 2 with here's my grandson Logan. Like the story arc and living with that character, it just you've been a part of so many integral aspects of his life that you can't help but feel that emotion and feel connected to him in a way more than most, if not every other theatrical character.
100%. And when he saw his grandson, and
Yes.
again, these are like some of the fewer lines said, the better. But him just saying, "You look just like his mother," and it just hurt. It rips your heart out. You're like, "Oh my,"
I
you
teared
know.
right up.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
There's no way not to. Like, it was just, oh my God. I
Yeah,
mean,
it,
the
it,
kid
it
had my name too, which honestly hits a little bit differently
yeah, oh yeah, I
for
can
me.
imagine.
When it's just like, the shock of hearing your own name in an emotional movie scene in a character, which arguably I've had some experience with
Mhm.
Logan. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be serious.
Yes.
Wolverine and some of that connection, and I still, it still triggers and kind of still feels something when I hear my name on screen, even if I expect to hear it after how many times they used it. But to have it come out of nowhere in that movie, and then on that kind of an emotional beat to you know continue, carry on, or end, who knows, Rocky's story. Yeah, that was just,
Yeah. No,
oh, too much.
again, so well done,
Yes.
and oddly enough, another comparison, another parallel, I
Hmm.
will, fictional, well, they're all fictional, but,
Yeah.
Logan, Wolverine
Yep.
Logan, same thing because you've been seeing him through what, 10 movies, and coming from the first one where he's just, you know, young and animalistic and you don't know him, but then you start to go on this journey with him, even though it's not the best storytelling.
Well,
You there's
it's
there's
not as deep a journey as Rocky's.
no,
It's not
absolutely
as deep a journey as Goku's.
true. I will say this though, I think the one thing that I really liked about the Logan series and how
Yeah.
they had that time jump to the not too distant future is they don't. You're
Are
not.
you talking about Days of Future Past or of,
Oh no,
actual
no.
Logan?
I'm sorry, the actual Logan. Yeah, not
Okay.
the Days of Future
The
Past,
movie Logan.
but
Okay.
yeah, the movie Logan where you 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 do a time jump, so you have to fill in the gaps of the damage in your mind. I
Hmm.
mean, you know some of the beats and the comics and all that, but
Well,
when you see
yeah.
him driving an Uber and he's, you know, medicating
Yeah.
with alcohol and his eyesight's going,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
again, one of the most dangerous creatures ever to exist is falling apart. Not that Rocky's seen in that way, but again, the guy that went through hell in the
Hmm.
ring, when it's quiet, he just wants to go disappear, just wants to die. There's no, it's not, and
Yeah.
it's not that he doesn't have fight in him. It's just that he has nothing to fight for until
Yeah.
Creed.
And I would, yeah, totally. Though I would argue, and I think you probably, I see the similarities you're talking about between Logan and Rocky. Though I think you hit Rocky and Goku better, and I'll even add Tanjiro from the Demon Hunter anime.
I haven't
Haven't
followed that all the way through. I started it
The
and
thing about those three characters
uh-huh.
is that they are y- quintessential pure of heart characters. I would argue Logan's not necessarily pure of heart.
True, true.
Not at all in some ways. In some ways. But those three characters, Rocky and Goku and Tanjiro, they are unequivocally pure of heart, and that adds a whole different level to the viewing and being a part of their story and the emotional impact that it makes, because you can't help but want to root for these characters, whether they're an underdog in their fight, whether they're w- trying to accomplish the impossible for their families, whether they're trying to train and become skilled on a level that they couldn't imagine even having become skilled to. I mean, that fits for all three of them. Um, that purity of heart, that's the kind of character I just absolutely love the most. When a believable, pure of heart character just kind of runs through his life or their life, and in it just that's the story I want to see. I love it.
I get you, and you are right. They are two different comparisons. One is, the warrior aspect. The other one,
Yes.
to your point, is the character in and of itself.
Yeah.
And I that is why you love Goku,
Yep.
because he is like a child who, not in a developmentally challenged way, but
Yeah.
in a pure. I like the way you say it, in a pure way. And
Yeah.
Rocky is too pure regarding
Pure
his
of heart,
intent.
pure
Yeah,
of focus.
you
Yeah.
don't see
Yeah.
him having malice towards anybody or
No.
trying to one up. he's selfless and he just wants to do the
Yep.
right thing. Goku is a little more just blinders on because he's always thinking about training and fighting.
He's a little more oblivious, yes.
Yeah, oblivious is a better way of saying yes.
Yeah.
Where Rocky would give you the shirt off his back, Goku is would be like, why aren't you wearing a shirt? He's oblivious to the context of things. But there's still no malice or anything like that.
No,
He's so single-minded and oblivious to everything else. All the trappings of society and humanity. It gives him that pure aspect, and they all have that one thing in common, that they put themselves out there and they have to find this inner strength to persevere, and that's what always, because
and it's usually their love and their family and their heart that gives them the ability to overcome anything that's in front of them.
Exactly. It's never out of rage.
No,
it's always out of love and or trying to protect or save or something like that. So
love or protection, exactly.
Yeah, it's true hero dog. It's but again, Rocky, Goku, that's the same thing. You know what? Oh, and darn, you need to see Spider-Man, Logan. You need to see
I know.
If you want to get
as soon as it comes out,
if you want to get here's the thing. I don't know when it's coming out. You might want to where? On what?
It's going to be for sale March 1st, I heard.
On what, like where?
Streaming, anywhere streaming.
Really?
Yeah, it's not going to be for rent yet, and it's not going to be obviously on any of the platforms.
Okay.
But I do believe digital sales begin March 1st. I was specifically reading and looking into that because I do want to see it.
Because you're right. I didn't see it streaming anywhere. I knew that because they had not worked it out with Sony or blah blah blah. But
well, they had, but Sony's deals just changed. Where the first look, I think, used to be Netflix, but now it's moving or changing, and I do think it's going to go to Disney eventually. But
eventually. But I think I hate to say this, I think they're going to Stars.
They do have a new agreement with Stars. Yes. That is also true. It's not going to be on Disney Plus first.
But
it is going to go to Stars.
I mean, don't get wrong. I don't have Stars, and I'm not getting Stars. Not for that. I mean, but I've seen it 4 times in theaters already, so I don't need to see it. It's burned into my brain. But you would love the moments. And again,
I'm
not the
still looking forward
fantastical
to
moments, the dialogue moments and the callbacks, and it ties up. And I will say this, matter of factly, Spider-Man delivers on everything you possibly want.
Yep.
And more.
I mean, look, I've been spoiled and I've seen some of those scenes already. And I can't imagine them in context or in a theater first run. In fact, some of the videos and scenes that I've seen were shot in a theater first run, and I can hear the audience reaction.
It's
incredible.
It's and again, don't get me wrong. The world we're in, it's not always the best thing to go to a public place, but that one, and again, I got nobody that I'm worried about, taking something home to, so I'll be like very. I mean, I've been out there, seeing movies, taking precaution, but still been out there seeing movies. And I'm a matinee guy, so I'll go out there and there's probably like 20 people in the theater. Everybody's spaced way out. So, knock on wood, I've been lucky so far.
My father used to say, "Better lucky than good any day."
Exactly. And but again, when you do see it, we should talk. And also, totally. I know. I can't say enough. I'm doing all my pitching for all the series. Arcane.
So I've seen episodes 1 and 2 so far.
Yes. Now, just humor me and tell me, what recreate it for me so I can, get an idea of what direction you're leaning in.
It just kind of overall opinion, or
like, because I think we saw the first episode together.
We did see the first episode together. I saw the first episode or second episode. I think it was 1 or 2 nights ago. I love the animation style. It is utterly beautiful. The voice cast is pretty stellar. Very, very impressed with them, especially uh,
Silco, the lean
yeah,
guy.
the guy, Kevin Alejandro is his
Yes.
name, his actor. He was Detective Dan in Lucifer, and
Mm.
he was just fantastic. His serious, dramatic acting, his humor, his timing, and he knocks it out of the park in voice acting. He's fabulous. So very, very excited to kind of hear and listen to him. The one enforcer character from The Expanse.
Oh, with the voice.
Yeah, what's her name? I mean, you
I
hear her and you just like, yes, ma'am. Okay.
yes.
Like she
Uh,
just has a gravitas behind her that she certainly has on screen in Expanse and definitely portrays through in voice. Um, the kids are believable and kind of that you're not quite sure if they're teens or adults, but I don't think they're sure either, so that's kind of perfect. Um, and the story is slowly unfolding. Maybe a little too slowly to fully get a picture of the whole world, but I'm enjoying enough of what I'm seeing so far that I don't mind that kind of slowness. Um, what did I see that was too slow? Boba Fett. That's what it was. Where I was like, I know I've seen something lately that was too. Oh yeah.
yeah. Why? Because there's a bantha walking through an
When you,
endless desert, or because there's people carrying two huts through the desert. I mean, everything is slow.
everything was slow
Or
up
are
until
you
the Mandalorian showed up.
that was well, first of all, let me say on Arcane. On
Anyway, yes.
Arcane, because it's three sets of three.
Okay.
The 1, 2, 3 is its own mini arc
Hmm.
it's an introduction to character, little bit of world building, and then
Yeah,
it sets it up.
it is
But
definitely more character than world building.
oh
Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
and but the end of episode 3 is where you realize it's a whole nother movie, and then they hit the gas. And I
Okay.
can never say that enough because the first 2 episodes I had on in the background, and I'm
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
watching it, paying attention. But at the end of episode 3, there's a scene that you're just like, wow. And then episode 4,
Hmm.
it's it picks up momentum. And
Awesome.
and again,
Awesome.
you're talking about the animation style. It's
Yeah.
by a Fortiche. There's a French
Mm.
animation studio,
Okay.
and they had
I've
been
not heard of
working.
them.
No, they've done like some bumper or commercial or music videos
Okay.
for the Arcane video game. And they're they were small, really high end
Hmm.
you know animation studio in France, but this is definitely going to put them on the map. I mean, up there with not Pixar, but definitely what's the other one close to Pixar? Lumen.
DreamWorks.
Uh, I think it's Lumen or something like.
Mm.
It's like a lesser contemporary of Pixar.
Okay.
They do. Um, anyway, this was their breakout,
Hmm.
and I mean every detail, and that's why I want you to see it because I want to do
Yeah.
some scene analysis with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you see that? Do you see that?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
And yeah, the animation it's I believe it's 2D rendering on top of 3D models, so it
Oh,
has
interesting. That's wild. Yeah.
I think, and again, they have their own style. It's definitely a unique
I'll have to check
animation
it out.
style.
Yeah.
But the story, I would say, it's a steampunk Game of Thrones.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But
Hopefully, it's not Game
you
of
don't
Thrones.
see that in the first 3 episodes. You only
No.
see it at the end of the third episode where it starts
Hopefully,
to
it's
go.
not actually Game of Thrones, but yes.
It's still lighter than Game of Thrones. It's not as dark,
All
but
right.
it does have political and
Well,
things like
sure.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
sure.
and power plays and things like that. So,
Okay.
as a matter of fact, I think I sent you that TikTok review, or maybe not. There was a
I'm
guy,
not sure.
I think his name is Uncle Cuss, and he does
Mm,
like kind of a street review kind of. I'll send it to you. It's
Okay, cool.
pretty hilarious.
Cool.
But I don't want to spoil it, so maybe I'll hold off on that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm training for a 48-hour race in May.
This is a great
So
binge.
I've got plenty of time to watch stuff as I'm endlessly running.
It's a great binge. I promise you. You just need to make it to the end of 3. That's
I can do that. I can do that.
I say that to everybody. I just say make it to 3, and then it's a whole different thing. Because right now you're watching kids running around. Oh, it's not that at all. You gotta keep watching.
Okay.
But awesome. So
cool.
So my friend, we've talked about Uncharted, which was a steaming pile of effort. There you go. Doctor Strange, which definitely will be coming back a lot more.
Yes.
Because so much.
We will revisit that one.
Revisit it.
Honestly, probably even the next trailer, because something else is going to be in the trailer that's going to blow your mind.
Absolutely. And yeah, and they did the perfect drop. Super Bowl halftime. They brought it out.
Marvel still got it.
They got all the money, they got all the talent. They're like Dallas Cowboys, if
in the 90s, maybe.
If I still appreciated football back then. But Star Trek's coming out with the OG cast. Again, this is dusting off all the old properties. Jurassic World, where we get to see, and again, I like Jurassic 1 because, again, practical. Steven Spielberg said, "Listen, I can make a shark scare you. Wait till you see a T-Rex," and he did it. And you could not tell me that that's not a real T-Rex.
Oh, it was stunning.
Again, the foot going into the mud.
Yep,
it's ridiculous. It still holds up.
It does.
That's
the thing. So many movies don't, even when they were good at the time. That one, no question.
And I hate to say it, but I think Spielberg, and I got to start looking at his catalog because Lucas goes all blue screen crazy, and then you look at the 80s / early 90s action films. The Schwarzenegger, Total Recalls, and RoboCop, and things like that. Where you look at something in 20 years later, you're like, oh, that looks so bad.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park could have been made yesterday, and still, I mean, there's no lines. Because it's practical, and it's I think the art of trick photography versus special effects has been lost.
Yes.
I love trick photography.
I wish it had just trickled down to amateur filmmakers, whereas instead you have amateur filmmakers who are like, well, I can kind of do this in Photoshop and overlay it in a video, and this will it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not fine. It's crap. It's garbage. But if they were to take the time and work on that practical and the craft and the special camera angles and shots and stuff, and if that kind of, I don't want to say cheap technology because it's not cheap either, but lower tech, infinitely accessible to anybody who's willing to take the time to learn it. If that kind of stuff were done, that would be a beautiful indie world to see.
I hate to say it. I think it's a lost art. I think
feels like it.
I think the new generation is all Adobe.
Digital's just too easy, and people want easy.
It is. Now I've seen some great special effects.
Oh,
don't
sure.
get me wrong, but the eye knows they haven't broken that uncanny valley or the blue.
Everybody wants to be the YouTuber that Disney hires to make Luke Skywalker look like more Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, and again, more, not as good. I mean, you don't tell me you couldn't get. And again, it's ridiculous. We were saying this, I think, on the last episode. Just get Sebastian Stan.
Oh, please,
give me a break. Just give him a really weird '90s haircut or a late '80s haircut. And put him out there. It's Sebastian. He looks like him already.
You could even just put a green screen bald cap on him and put the hair in later. Like, that would even be fine. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, I'm picturing some really bad edited enchanted hair. Just where it goes all crazy. There's like a glitch and the hair just starts going.
It would be like the Queen's green dress where everybody just started CGing, like adding stuff on her green screen dress after. Just
Why
like
not?
Sebastian Stan's bald cap, and everybody starts putting stuff on his head. Like that would just be, oh, he would
Exactly.
never leave contemporary memes in the world like ever.
Exactly. And I'm gonna pull a Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
The effects people were so anxious to see if they could, they never thought if they should. I mean, sure, I understand Moff Tarkin. No, I don't even understand that. They should have just gotten another actor and
Mm-hmm.
said, yeah, that's him. Deal with it. Instead of putting this video game
Don
in front
Cheadle.
of us.
It's me. Deal with it.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. That is a brilliant
It was perfect. So perfect.
and now okay, wait a second. Do you think in this multiverse they could bring back
Oh, yes, they could.
and I'm forgetting his name. I'm
Cuba
blanking on
Gooding
his name.
Jr.
No, who?
No.
No.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
Yes, Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh,
It's me, man.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
it's me, man. Yeah. Terrence Howard. Yeah. Oh, you talk about somebody who just could not read the terrain. I get it. Don't get me wrong. He has a nice show. Well, he had a show, Empire, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I understand. And don't get me wrong. I completely understand where he was coming from what I heard, because this whole thing was ground level.
Sure.
And he's starting ground level. Everybody should go up together.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they cut his pay so they can give Robert Downey more. Does not seem right.
No.
But you have to make a decision, and this is anybody's decision. Do I suck it up and take a lower pay cut and go for the longer ride?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they're readjusting because it was such a hit, and I'm not number one banana. Do I take a low cut and just ride this up? But here's the thing: nobody could have predicted what the Marvel was going to be. So
nobody could have predicted, but you still could have done all right, I'll take the lower cut, but give me more points on the back. Invest in the possibility of, look, is this good enough to be something? Like, they had to have kind of seen it. They had to have. I feel like actors have to have some idea of,
after
is this
the
going to
first
flop
one,
or is this going to hit?
After the first one, yeah, but I have a feeling that I mean, if he's signing with Marvel, I don't know what their contracts were like back then, but do you think he signed like a multi-picture deal?
All of them did, didn't they?
Well, I know after Iron Man that broke everything, and then but you know what I'm saying.
Because I thought Feige even did that starting from Iron Man because he already knew that's where he wanted to get to, so he had them all sign multi-picture deals, just because if/when it hits big, he wanted to have the continuity of actors all the way through.
I got you.
But anyway,
yeah, no. To that point, it's I think there's definitely a side where, however, he played it.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle made out just fine, and I think he made a good run on his Empire show, so everybody's happy.
Yeah,
everybody's winning. And I don't think Don Cheadle's making tons of money from that, but he's his name's out there, and he's part of the universe. And maybe if he is getting points on the back end, I mean, being in there from Iron Man 2 all the way to Endgame,
rising tides in all boats. Like, I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, no, it worked out.
I hope he's fine.
It worked out, but again, this had never been done before, so you can't. I mean, I wouldn't have known. I would Iron Man 1 was good, but now in Iron Man 2, you're wanting me to take less money. And I don't know what's going to happen for Iron Man 3. That's a gamble, and every person has to
make that choice for themselves. Yeah,
exactly. So that's Jurassic.
Yeah,
again, practical, not special.
Mm-hmm.
And then the OG Batman.
Yes,
Keaton coming back with a silk smooth, no nipples,
no bad nipples.
Exactly.
That was Clooney anyway, though, wasn't it?
That was Clooney. Yes.
But that's good. I mean, honestly, if they don't do the Batman Beyond with Keaton, they could do the Batman Beyond with Clooney another 10, 15 years.
You could just age him.
Better yet, just age Clooney now and then let him grow into it as they continue the franchise.
You know, I mean, Clooney's 60 now, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Close.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think I saw him in a movie recently. It was the one where he was a astronomer and out in the wilderness. Not in the wilderness. It was like the end of the world or something like that. And he was trying to trek to a observatory in the snow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I forget forget the title, but it was on Netflix. It was a direct to streaming.
I did just see that too.
Yeah. But
was that Midnight Sky?
Yes.
Okay.
But he was getting old. I mean, he's up there. He could probably pull it off.
He's 60.
Yeah.
He'll be 61, I think, this year.
Yeah, no, he's old enough to be old.
And even if they age him a little bit more, and then as kind of the franchise goes, they just have to do less,
less aging. He'll grow
He'll grow into it.
Yeah. But I will say this. I never saw him having the dark edge of Batman.
No, he never had the dark edge of Batman.
But
if you remember the opening of Batman Beyond, it was Batman old trying to fight the villains, and he picks up a gun and then realizes what he's doing as he's doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And Clooney has the drama for it. Clooney has I'm never going to be Batman again because I did this. He has the kind of brokenness and dramatic chops that he honed on decades of ER and everything else that he's done dramatically since to pull off the broken Bruce Wayne of Batman Beyond. I agree 100%. He never had the edge Batman needed, but he can pull a broken Bruce Wayne, I think, with no problem.
That's a good point. No, and again, I do see him I could definitely see him as the smooth Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
He's
that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's matinee
George
idol.
Clooney. Yeah.
I mean, just the name is literally like a description.
I mean, he was the sexiest man alive once, wasn't he? I mean, he can pull it off.
Well, him and Brad Pitt, they're not really human at this point. They're just anecdotes of what they're specimens. But no, I could definitely see him pulling out. You know who I miss is also Val Kilmer.
That's so tragic.
Yeah, have you seen the movie Val?
I started it. I didn't get to finish it. Just time and kids crying and waking up in the middle of the night. But
I want to see that. I want to see because he had, first of all,
he had everything.
And he's still with us.
Yeah.
Let's not put him away just yet. But no, you know what I saw not a trailer for, but a clip of the other day. Real Genius. And again, a very young, precocious, almost like a Ryan Reynolds, if you will.
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds could definitely do a remake of Real Genius. Okay, I just sold that idea. That's my idea.
Yeah.
That's my. I just put it out there. Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. Well, no, Ryan Reynolds is too old now. Actually, now that I think about it, but in my mind, he just reminds me of that whole.
De-age him. He's still young enough to de-age, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think honestly, isn't that what he did in that he was a college kid. He was a precocious college kid. That was Ryan Reynolds' first big role.
I think so.
I forget the name of it, but yeah, it was like this big thing that was, and he even had Pell be like in the sequel.
That's right.
Anyway, but Val Kilmer, yes, Real Genius. And then Top Gun.
There's still supposed to be a sequel coming out at some point, isn't there?
Maverick.
Did it?
Yes.
Did I miss it?
No. It's coming out. It's just COVID. It shut it everything down.
They're really holding that one until
I think. Well, that's definitely a theater experience. You can't do because he's literally in F-15s just flying.
Yeah.
They got the GoPros set up, so it's going to be. I mean, in-flight cameras are there, but they have these high quality. I mean, I would assume it's kind of the stuff that you would expect from what's his name that did The Abyss and Titanic.
James Cameron.
Like just that leap.
I almost said Robert Zemeckis, but no, James Cameron. Yes,
but you know what I'm saying, that leap in technology to get the shot.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
if you're going to be filming actors in a jet, a
Mhm.
real jet, you got to have some just ridiculous. It can't be
Yeah.
a GoPro Black, just
Probably not, no.
yeah. But yeah. So he was at Iceman, and then full speed Tombstone
Yeah.
and The Doors.
Oh, The Doors.
See, see, you never.
That was
I didn't
an
know.
iconic. Oh.
I didn't know you were in. Oh, first of all, of its time, because
Oh,
every,
yeah.
back in those days, there were the two types of nostalgia. There were nostalgia for like the 50s with the James Dean, Marlon Brando,
Yep.
the old retro
50s and the
biker stuff,
70s.
the Rebels, and then yeah, the
Especially
70s
P-70s.
and I remember when I was a kid and it was a trailer probably 2 years before the movie even came out,
Mhm.
and it was literally just a tight shot of the bottom of the seat walking down the hall, and you see text. There are things known, and there are things unknown, and in between are the doors, and
Yep.
you just hear the song "Light My Fire" slowly,
Oh,
just the
yeah.
guitar, and it's dun dun
That's
dun dun
all
dun.
you
Dun.
need.
No, it's "Touch Me." It's not "Light My Fire." It's "Come On." Is it "Touch Me" or "Light My Fire"? No, because "Light My Fire" is no. It might have been "Light My Fire." Yeah, because that was one of their bigger hits.
Oh, yeah.
But again, and that was just a teaser trailer.
Yep.
Never showed his face, never showed anything, just literally his
Mhm.
boots and the bottom of his leathers walking down the hall. And again, Oliver Stone at the peak
Yeah.
of his powers, because
Yep.
this, first of all, it wasn't a political piece because
No.
how he tends to run in that
Sure. Sure, sure,
direction.
sure.
But first of all, the music
Well,
and
the source material. I mean, come on.
and they're saying that a lot of the stuff he exaggerated, but so what?
It's a film, of course, it's exaggerated.
It's a story of a rock legend, not a real man. I mean, that's not the story of Jim Morrison. That's the story of Jim Morrison, the entertainer.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
the story of the persona and the mythology of the Doors.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and just the way they shot it, it was.
Yep.
I mean, going from him as a college kid all the
Mhm.
way up to, and just that arc of excess, and then soundtrack, of course,
The
and
soundtrack, of course, and then just the almost the way the movie kind of got caught up in the excess and the haze and going from like the desert scene all the way back to, just everything was so perfect in just the haze of the kind of life and mystique of what they were going through and doing and the time itself. Just incredible.
it was, you're right. It was so, I mean, it would seem cliche now,
Mm,
but when it came out, it was just so representative of that time. And like you're saying,
yep.
the expanding of the mind
Yes.
and the experimentation with just
Hmm.
finding one's self, and but of course it all devolves into excess at the end, and then
Always does.
and amazing characters. I mean, again,
Yes.
you have, don't forget, you had what's his name, Madsen in there. Mike Madsen, was it Mike Madsen?
I don't know.
From all the Quentin Tarantino films.
Hmm.
Um, it's Madsen, I think. And Billy Idol was in it. Uh,
Hmm.
Crispin Glover played Andy Warhol.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's her name? I forget the actress, but she played his witch girlfriend who drank blood, and they got married. And of course, Meg Ryan, a very young Meg Ryan,
Very young. Yeah.
and Kevin Dillon,
Yep.
and Kyle
Kyle MacLachlan. Yes.
MacLachlan, yeah, is Raymond Manzurek, and
Yep.
oh
Michael
no, yeah,
Madsen. Yeah.
and what's his name is the Robbie who played Robbie Krieger.
That was Frank Whaley.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's all right. Speaking of Pulp Fiction, yeah, he was in
Yeah.
Pulp
There you
Fiction.
go.
He was the one that kept saying "what," and then Samuel L. Jackson shot him several times.
Yep.
Yeah, no, great. Great film. And
It really, really was.
the only other film that I wish had lived up to that, it had the potential, but it didn't quite make it there, was um, uh, Death to Birth. The story of, it was a Kurt Cobain story.
Oh, okay.
And it was directed by, darn it, I gotta pull this up on the internet. You'll get why it didn't quite deliver.
As soon as I hear the director, I'm sure I will.
Not in a bad way, but in a
Tim Burton. No, just kidding.
But you'll get why it was. Come on, Death to Birth song. And it starred. I'm sorry, it's called Last Days. The song that they sang, and it was called Death to Birth.
Last Days. Okay.
Yeah, it was Last Days, and it was directed by Gus Van Sant. Gus Van Sant.
Okay.
And he did Elephant, which was kind of a Columbine story.
Okay.
He did My Own Private Idaho. He did Good Will Hunting.
Oh, did he really?
He did. He did Milk with Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Drugstore Cowboy. Oh, that I loved Drugstore Cowboy. That was with Matt Dillon and Kelly Lynch.
Okay.
And again, this, I hate to say it, but this, in the late 80s, early 90s, there was this real heroin fascination. And Drugstore Cowboy was about this group of, drug addicts it was just like their journey of robbing drugstores.
Okay.
But it was, great soundtrack, shot beautifully, of its time in Seattle, taking place in I think the late 70s or something like that. So it was good. Finding Forrester, Gus Van Sant also did that with.
That's the one with
Sean Connery.
Finding Forrester. Sean Connery.
Sean Connery was an author, but a recluse, and he befriended this young urban kid.
Oh, that's not the one I was thinking of. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you may be thinking about Searching for Guffman.
No, who did I think was in it? I can see him, but I can't think of his name.
Well, he's not a name.
Yeah.
He's not a brand name. His name is Rob Brown. He was more of a kid actor.
Yeah.
But the guy who played the Kurt Cobain character was Michael Pitt. In the Last Days. And the way it's shot, it's very unglamorous, and it's and it doesn't even touch on his addiction in a stylized way. The thing
I remember this one,
of which
I definitely
one?
saw the Finding Forrester. I definitely saw it.
Yeah. Let's see. He did a lot of. He did. He didn't do Kids. What is this? He did not do Kids. Kids was Harmony Korine. Yeah. Oh well, maybe different characters, but anyway, Gus Van Sant has a very literal film style, if that makes sense. He'll shoot something with no exposition. And it's almost up to you to figure out what's going on. Because when I saw Elephant, and Elephant was about the Columbine shooting,
right?
But you never hear them say Columbine shooting. It's so focused on just the characters, and it's shot almost from a third person perspective sometimes. And it's gripping, and it's so stark, and just in Last Days is kind of the same way, where you're kind of removed from it, but you're in the room seeing everything that's happening. And even the if you see the trailer for Last Days, it's gripping, because there's an original song done by Michael Pitt called Death to Birth. That's why I mixed up that title.
Okay, got it.
But it's good. It's actually a good song for a 90s grunge,
Well,
Yeah. But my point being is that the 70s version of The Doors,
yes,
I could have seen something like that with Kurt Cobain, only because it was such a tragic and of its time moment. But maybe it's still too soon really.
It could have been at the time, but it might be ripe now.
But again, I think so. I think here's the funny thing. I think generations younger than me would probably get more out of it than I would, because I would be looking at
Depends who does it.
I'd be like, that's not what happened. That's not the MTV Unplugged that I remember, because it's still too fresh in my head, I guess. So, but the Doors, it's like it would transport you to the 70s. I don't want to be transported. Yeah, I don't want to be transported to the 90s. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know how we got on that.
I have no idea either.
But
we do that, so it's all right.
Michael Keaton's old. I think that's the whole point.
Michael Keaton's old. That's how we got there. That's how we started this. Okay,
we're all getting old. That's I think the gist of it. But Val Kilmer as Batman.
Yes,
and I will just say this: yes, the Doors. But then he did The Saint, and then it wasn't all that.
No, but it had potential, but it didn't hit it.
Exactly. But Heat. Now, even though he wasn't the star of Heat,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't know this. I saw this on a documentary. Heat was originally a TV movie that failed horribly. Michael Mann had it as a TV movie, and it was trash. He reworked it and put it in theaters. Different cast, different everything. Yeah, it was originally like this, almost like a Miami Vice type TV movie.
Mm-hmm.
Did not do well, looked very bad. So he put it on the shelf, came back to it, reworked it, put in Robert De Niro,
mm-hmm.
Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, Mike Sizemore, just this ridiculous cast, and relaunched it in cinema. And Heat. I might have to watch that again. Just talking about it gets me excited, because again, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, in not their prime, but definitely when they're still throwing blows, they're still in it, and not Goodfellas, quality, but let me put it this way: this one still looks like Robert De Niro can curb stomp somebody without it being CG. Did you ever see that, The Irishman?
Did I see The Irishman? Is that the old boxing one?
No. That's
what am I thinking of?
I know what you're talking about. No, that's the other one. That's where Rocky,
De Niro and
that I still don't understand that hurts my brain to even think about.
That does.
But no, The Irishman was a story about Gotti. No,
I don't think so.
This is another Gotti, because there was a Gotti with Jack Nicholson. This is
right.
This is a Gotti where Al Pacino plays Gotti. And
interesting.
And Robert De Niro plays the Irish hitman that killed him.
Huh. Okay. No.
But again, they're so old, and this is some of that de-aging that looks horrible. And you've probably seen it on YouTube where they have that kid that does the really good face. I want to say FaceTime because I'm old, but no.
Deep fakes.
Face swap.
Oh, face swaps. Okay.
It's not face swap. What is it?
Deep fake.
Deep fake. Thank you. Yeah, doing some of the deep fake technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you see The Irishman the way, and it was done by Martin Scorsese.
Okay.
But again, effects, it doesn't, unless you really know what you're doing, the effects detract.
Yes.
And there was
detract and distract.
Exactly. And there was a scene, because you remember, I think it was in Goodfellas, where Robert De Niro is kicking stomping somebody into a bar.
Sure.
And you just see them kicking, and you're like, okay, that looks pretty violent. You're seeing this 30 years later, where Robert De Niro's like 70,
mm-hmm.
and he's de-aged, so he looks like he's a puffy 50 or puffy late 40s. He looks like he's gotten some work done. But there's a scene where he's curb stomping somebody, and somebody needs to almost hold him up. It looks like, you know what? I hate to say it. It looks like watching a Steven Seagal training video today. That's what it looks like. Where you're like, that's not real. Oh, and also they shoot it like from 20 feet away, so you can see he's not even like connecting. It's the worst. I don't know what they were thinking. You
Interesting.
can Google that. You know,
Yeah,
the Robert De Niro.
I'll catch some
Uh,
clips.
oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It
Yay.
it. And speaking of bad, I saw Uncharted. Did I tell you that? Yes. Yes. Um,
that does bring it full circle. You did mention that one.
yes. Speaking of bad movies, Uncharted. And again, like we said, Uncharted. I will save you the money. It offers nothing.
Okay.
There's some action scenes, but everything is cliche,
Mhm.
and there's probably, I think they went to Spain. I think they went to Madrid and they shot some nice scenes in Madrid.
Yeah.
That's it. There is nothing worth your time in
I mean,
watching this.
nice locations are nice, but I
But
yeah.
it's just the one location. And they do have like it's all Spain. Yeah, so they were in Madrid. There's
Okay.
no other locations. It's
So they were trapped there in COVID and had to shoot the whole thing there.
and again, maybe see you brought that up in the past, and I can say that if that is the case, then I will say they did the best with what they could do.
Okay.
But the story was just, and the dialogue was just so cringeworthy. I was
Yeah.
rolling my eyes several times through it because, first of all, they do the Chekhov's gun all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like here's this, and then they're in a situation. Oh, well, you better get that thing that you showed me back in the first act, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just so, and you can hear it in the dialogue where they're doing 2 minutes of exposition. They don't even waste time doing exposition. Everything is so clunkily forced in there. Like there's a scene, and this isn't really spoiler, but there's a scene where Tom Holland says to he says, "Yeah, Marky Mark, I did some research on you, and
Really?
you were in the Navy, weren't you?" He goes, "Yeah, I was in the Navy. I flew helicopters." Nobody asked you that, Marky Mark. But
Oh
guess
my
what Marky
God.
Mark ends up doing?
Flying a helicopter.
Yeah, because but it's been established, so you're not confused. No, it was so clumsy, and you'll see that. Well, again, if it comes out on streaming, you should see it.
It'll
On
be
streaming.
streaming somewhere, and I'm sure I'll watch it and be glad I didn't pay any money for it.
Oh yeah, it is.
Well,
Well, and again,
relatively speaking.
I have not seen. I never saw the second Tomb Raider. I saw the first one, and it. I know it
Did you see
doesn't
the
hold
one
up.
with not Angelina Jolie?
No, is there? What was there a third one that came out? Or
There was a third one that was supposedly like a Tomb Raider origin story of
Oh
sorts.
no! Oh no! Oh, that was the one with what's her name from Ex Machina, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, no. I saw the trailer of that, and I wanted to punch myself in the head. I could not. No.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, certain. Let me put it this way: some milk you just don't drink, and that milk just looked bad. I didn't need to smell it. I didn't need to taste it. I was like, nope, nope. You know that, and here's a little trivia for you. You know the on a milk container, they have that little indented circle on the side.
Yeah.
They have that because when the milk is bad, it pops out.
Yeah.
Because the milk starts to expand, and when it pops out, it's rotten. So this looked rotten, and I could not see it, and I think I might have started watching it, and it was at home, it was like on cable, and I was like, no, I'm not giving them that 2 hours.
Yep.
But anyway, I love cracking on movies since I've made literally zero. You've at least made some films.
I have helped make at least one. Yes.
There you go. Well, we got to talk about making our binge production.
Oh man, I'm itching. I was telling my wife the other day that it's like I haven't directed someone or something in a while, and it's starting to get to me. So
we'll talk off because I don't want. I've given up too many ideas to the internet already.
I know, right?
If I see,
we get a back end point of anything anyone develops.
If I see Timothy Chalamet as Batman Beyond, I'm suing. Yes, I'm suing. It's documented. It's been established. That was my idea. Timothy Chalamet.
Mm-hmm.
What other skinny kid like still formidable, but just like a kid. Come on.
What about Taron Egerton? Or Egerton?
He's too short.
I think
And
he's too short.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you were talking about the guy that played Elton John, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him as athletic enough,
He was in
or
Kingsman.
yeah, yeah, he was.
Yeah. I don't know.
For some reason, and again, I'm not trying to body shame anybody, but
No.
he just does not seem a physical type. And again, maybe he did such a good job in Rocket Man. I only see him as a slightly pudgy, balding man in his 50s with
There you go.
substance abuse problems. But uh,
I'll have to think of other fan casting ideas
yes,
for Terry McGinnis.
well, we should do a whole series of just fan casting.
Oh, yeah.
And because there's plenty of stuff coming out,
Yep.
or just recasting.
Recasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Recasting and script doctoring. There you go.
We should start a whole industry. Like we'll call it "Do It Right Productions."
Oh, I love it.
But
sign me up. I'm there.
There you go. Anyway, everybody out there, we've been at this for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Again, they pay us by the hour, so we're rich at this point.
Hey, it's great. I can retire. We're good.
I'm telling you, we'll retire and watch movies.
Hey, that's a life.
Change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, dude, everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget, you can join us right down here, on our bingenetwork.com website. You can go purchase apparel, leave us a note, do a donation if you like. We also like to hear from you in the comments. So if you see a movie or a TV series or a topic that you want us to comment on or share our thoughts, by all means, leave it in the comments. And if you like the show, don't forget to share it with your friends so they know how cool you are because you're hanging with us, the cool guys, right? But anyway, Logan, any last things before we say goodbye to the lovely people in internet land?
No, I think for today we've talked about it all.
And then some. But everybody, thanks again for watching us. Be sure to take care of one another. Take care of yourselves. And as always, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.